3 p.m.
Oh, just a sec. I'm sorry.
I'm very familiar with that.
Oh,
And Craig, are you ready? I should have asked that. All right, thank you. All right, Linda just gave me the thumbs up. This is the Bluff Town Council regular meeting. Today is June 21st, 2022. It's 6:04 p.m. now. Roll call.
Linda Sosa.
Jim Sayers.
Luann Hook.
Ann Lepinen. The first thing on the agenda is the approval of the regular meeting minutes from June 14th, 2022. Has everybody read them? Are there any changes, corrections, modifications?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? 4 ayes. Grant Murray is absent. The approval is carried. The first thing on the agenda under unfinished business is discussion and vote on the resolution for the 2022 certified tax rate.
Did we want to do public comment?
We do. Do we have anybody from the public? Maybe we do.
We might have. There's a 435 number that I do not.
Okay.
Oh, I guess it's the lodge.
No, that's me.
That's
Okay.
you.
Well,
Okay.
I'll go to that. Public comment. There's a 3-minute time limit for each person wishing to comment. If you exceed that 3-minute time limit without permission from me, the meeting controller will mute you. Is there anyone who wishes
Let's see.
to public comment?
This is not exactly a public comment, but this was the meeting that somebody needed to go on the register because Aaron was excused from this meeting and somebody needed to register his office at kind of Bluff so that you could let people into the meeting because they still can't get in. So we probably ought to do that.
That's a good comment. Who can go into office? I cannot from where I'm at.
I can get into office, but why am I there to let people in? Is that what I'm doing?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
because last
I'll be
meeting,
back.
Aaron.
I'll
Okay,
be back in a flash.
And
alriady.
Aaron is excused. Aaron Richards is excused. I guess if you get
Right, but
you get an excuse.
so she's lined up to let everybody in and be in on it, and Craig's doing the YouTube, but we can't let anybody in unless somebody's on that one. So I don't know if you want to start over.
No, I'll just ask if there's public comment.
Is it Nelson now? Aaron Nelson?
I believe so. I'm not exactly sure.
I'm asking as I need to, do some paperwork. I'll check with her.
Yeah, she'll let you know, I'm sure.
Probably don't want to do the paperwork until she changes her social security information and her driver's license.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you do it first, that confuses Social Security and the Driver's License Bureau.
Good to know.
Are you in Bluff office now, Jim? Well, there are some people to be let in, so.
And you're muted, Jim.
Yeah, sorry about the delay, you people who are showing up right now. I had to get into a different world, a different cyber world.
And the only thing we've done is, oh, there's Brant. The only thing we've done is approve the minutes. Hi, Brant.
So the approval of the minutes from June 14th, 2022 were approved without any modification or changes or discussion. This is public comment. Is there anyone who wishes to make a public comment? Give it a minute here and see if anybody weighs in. And then you'll have 3 minutes.
And by the way, I think Brad is in.
He is. Brant, I just noted that you're present. All right, hearing and seeing no public comment, then on the unfinished business, the first thing is the discussion and vote on the resolution for the 2022 certified tax rate. I sent to Linda the certified tax rate resolution. Linda, by chance, do you have that in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, so the 2021 tax rate was 0.001091, which yielded an approximate tax base of $31,093. I don't have that form in front of me for the 2022, but our accountant sent it to us. Linda, can you tell folks what the tax rate is and what the approximation for revenue would be?
The tax rate is 0.000715, and so the revenue is 32,171.
What's the revenue?
32,170.
Okay, thank you.
So there's roughly a $1,000 difference between what we've estimated for revenue in 2023 that we've received from 2022. So there's no reason to go back and do an amendment of the budget because that $1,000 doesn't make any difference in our calculations for revenue and expenses for the 2023 budget.
Motion to approve the certified tax rate.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Then all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Then I'll sign that tomorrow when I get back to Bluff, or Jim, if you see Linda before that, you can sign it. Then we send it to the accountant and he posts it along with all the other things that he's been posting to get us through the end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
Number 2, any updates on the CCC design review team or the resolution for banking choice?
Did we see the resolution? Has it been sent out?
No, I reminded Chris on Wednesday or Thursday of last week, and I haven't heard anything from him. So I have not had anything to forward to you. So that'll have to be tabled.
Okay, well, I had an appointment today that I had kind of, I was too optimistic about my ability to make it to the meeting. So I wasn't making it to the meeting, and I think that it was canceled. Is that correct, Brant?
It is. We decided to not meet.
Okay.
So just by point of reference, could, when it's canceled, could you include Aaron and me on the cancellation? Because I sat on the line for 15 minutes for the meeting and I didn't know it was canceled. So
Okay.
just
Sorry
let us
about
know.
that. I apologize.
No, that's okay. I was sitting in a medical facility. It didn't matter. So thank you. So there's no update at this point, correct?
There is no.
Right.
I did talk to Conine this afternoon, Mayor and Jim and Council, and we talked about he was going to call Holly Rogers and just talk to her briefly this afternoon. So they're okay for that.
Then the next item is an update on Canyon Country Discovery's application for funding the quote Giant Cane unquote project. And I think the only thing I know is that the application went in for that project and Dave Bastian was positive. Lou, do you know anything more about it?
Did you ask me? I'm sorry, mine isn't very clear. Yeah. No, that's all that I know too. He'll let us know when he gets it. We did some editing for him. It looked really good to me. I think we should get it. So what that involves is if they do get it, then they will come into town. We'll need to do some contacting of people. He put in the request to map the existing cane that's around town so that we'll know the spots that they are, and then they'll get as much of it done as they can, and they'll cut it. They have like a kind of a weed whipper, but it's a saw blade. They'll cut it down and then spray the stumps. And that's, if you haven't had a chance to look at the video from the YouTube video, it's on the website, and it's also, I sent it off in an email, but it's on the website under sources and resources for residents. And Aaron's been working on the website, I guess, but anyway, it's there under a different heading. And you can pop down there and find that video, but it really tells us why we need to get after it. And Moab has a big problem already. And so what we want to make sure is that it doesn't get into our river bottom. So anyway, it's a preventative river protection, and it's through the Forever Our Rivers group, and they're a partner with them. So we should get it, but they should get it. We're sponsoring it, but they should get the grant, and then they'll do the work with us if it comes through.
The
Thanks.
proposal looked good. I only had about 4 edits in there. He knows what he's doing. Looks like we'll probably get it, and it'll be a great opportunity for some of these young people to get some experience and some money and do something good around here. So that's really good.
Thanks. Let's stay tuned then. Number 4 is, and I apologize, I have to look at my phone to look at the agenda because I don't have a copy of the agenda with me. So number 4 is update on the Utah Rural Leadership Academy Incubator Project. So if you remember, I'm in this academy run through SUU, whose name I never can quite get straight. Southern Utah University, I think is what the SUU stands for. The last half of the program is picking a project that would be helpful to your community and then developing it. I've been a little slow at getting that moving just because of the budget and whatever. But the project that I picked is to work with our EMTs to try to figure out how we can get enhanced manpower services, resources, so that they can not be so stretched. And I'm not sure how that's going to look, but it would involve engaging with, obviously, San Juan County, with the emergency management folks up in San Juan County, with Chief Lott, with the EMTs, you know, kind of trying to pull together where are we not getting enough support from outside? Where are we not? Is there anything we can do to recruit? You know, just kind of a broad picture. And I had hoped to get an email out to Linda Simmons and to Kathy Carson to kind of help me pull this together, but I just literally did not get to it. And I'm hoping this next week I'll be able to touch base with some folks. But I have until, I think it's August or September, to kind of finalize the proposal. And it's not anything that's going to necessarily go into effect or give us anything, but it would outline for us where we might need to develop things and what resources we might be able to reach out to that we haven't. So that's what I'm working on. And so a heads up to anybody involved in emergency responding that I'm going to try to figure out how I put this together. You know, definitely need some help.
Great project, Mayor. Great idea. The more folks we can train in emergency medicine and that sort of thing, it benefits everybody in the neighbors. So thank you for thinking about that.
Well, I had a hard time making a decision. That didn't help the delay. Number 5, update on the June 13th, 2022 San Juan County Economic Development. Linda?
So Erin and I attended this. It was virtual. Well, we were the ones that were virtual. Everyone else was meeting in Monticello. And Aaron did give kind of a summary at our last meeting, but it's helpful to have it on the agenda in case we need to go back and look at something. So one of the things that Aaron mentioned was a sales leakage. So we discussed that for a while, and what that means is a lot of money is being leaked out of the county because people travel out of the county to buy things. And, groceries, gas, just the basics. And so it's kind of a huge amount of money. But, and Elaine and her staff are trying to figure out ways, especially in Monticello. Monticello has a lot of empty businesses, and she is working with people to try and bring business in so that not so much money, goes to Cortez. We are having a Shark Tank. We had one before. I believe this will be September, but it could be November. And what that is, it's a competition for entrepreneurs who either want to expand their business or want to start a new business, and they do the application. In the process, there'll be 5 applicants chosen, and one of them will be the final winner. And so the prize is $5,000 seed money. And so that application was supposed to be out Friday, but I haven't seen it. So when I get it, I'll send it out to people. And the rest of the meeting was basically presentations showing the different challenges we have as rural businesses compared to urban businesses. So that was interesting, and they are very different.
Thanks, Linda. Well, keep us posted on the Shark Tank. All right, under new business, discussion of the process of notifying the Blufftown manager of incidents, i.e. injuries on Blufftown property. This came up because of a injury at the community center, and I realized that we've talked about it, but we haven't really set up a process for tracking anything that happens like that. And so our manager's been working on an incident form and working on a notice that we can put up that says, this is how you report an incident. The incidents would be reported to her so that she can report them on a timely basis to our insurer, who is Utah Local Government Trust. And when I reached out to Utah Local Government Trust, they gave me a very specific answer, which was really helpful about what they would like to see for us in maintaining our property. So, the obvious things like take skating, for instance. So for skating, that the floors are unobstructed, that there's no debris on the floor, that they're clean, that equipment is well maintained and checked, that there's some rules for people participating. And so we've been, Aaron and I have been working on that. We also thought it would be a good idea to develop kind of a checklist for each of the people who are teaching the classes as to what their obligations are. And one of the things that came up that Aaron and I talked about, and we'll set some kind of a Zoom meeting up with everybody who teaches a class, but that so I can think of 2 incidents where in the past couple of years somebody was injured playing pickleball and absolutely refused to want it to be documented. And the bottom line is these things have to be documented. We don't have a choice. And so if you're teaching a class and somebody's injured and that person declines to provide that information, then you as the instructor are going to have to provide it. And the recommendation that Aaron and I are going to make based on the information from Utah Local Government Trust after we run this by our attorney, is that if you as the instructor decline to provide the information, then we just can't have that kind of class. You know, we just have to protect our citizens when they're participating, as well as to protect the community from any potential lawsuits or requests for reimbursement. So we're working on that. I think when Aaron gets back, that's on one of our lists of priorities, to kind of finalize a draft of everything and send it off to Chris McEnany for review, and then out to everybody, and then to the teachers. Are there any questions? Any thoughts?
Do we have to have a sign, some kind of a waiver saying that if you're going to do any activity, you're sort of on your own or anything like that?
That's a question that I'll ask Chris, but as an attorney, I think waivers are not worth the paper they're printed on, but it might be different with Utah law. I don't know. So that's one of the questions. We are going to make something like the workers' comp sign that somebody found. I don't know where it went to, but we had posted the workers' comp sign that told you what you had to do and what your obligations were if there was a comp claim. And somehow that signage disappeared. So we're going to repost that, but we're going to do something comparable that says, if you are injured, this is what you need to do and how you need to report it. So, and we'll ask about the written waivers. They don't mean the paper they're worth in most states, but if Chris recommends it, certainly we'll do that.
Thank you.
Anything else on that? So I'm hoping that somebody's going to be able to help me out with the discussion on number 7. I went into the planning and zoning meeting to talk about doing a joint work session with planning and zoning. And of course, some of the things I needed to have in front of me, I don't have. But I think, Lou, correct me if I'm wrong, was it the 13th and the 20th that we talked about of July, that we would do a joint session with P&Z, preferably the 13th, but if not, the 20th of July. And that's mostly to look over John Barentine's report and his recommendations, so that we're all kind of having a joint discussion rather than a bifurcated process. What do people think, and are you able to fit something in on the 13th or the 20th?
Yeah, let's do it on the 13th if we can.
Lou, was that your recollection, the 13th and then the 20th?
It was, and I can't get to my calendar with this setup, but I believe their regularly scheduled meeting is the 20th, so there was some advantage to doing it on that same day, I believe, because they weren't meeting the first week, and then what would that be?
That'd be the 6th. What, they aren't going to meet on the 6th, but the second
skip one, and then
second one Wednesday is the 13th.
Right. So they would normally meet on the 20th, and assuming that they don't have too many land use clearances and whatnot, they were sort of hoping to make it like at 6:30. But we also talked about making it to where it was just a one issue, just doing this ordinance, and that would be better on the 13th probably, instead of trying to combine it. But either one seemed like it would work, so we were going to bring it back and see what days you guys were available.
I like the 13th because, quite honestly, most of the recommendations are just changes in language and kind of rhetoric. But there are a couple that are really substantive recommendations, and there'll be 10 of us and a manager, and the public will be listening. So I don't want to shove it through in 20 to 30 minutes. I'd really rather it would just be separate.
Yeah, I agree.
Can everybody make it the 13th, 6 o'clock?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then we talked about both P&Z and we need to post it as a meeting, because we'll each have a meeting. It'll be the same meeting, but each group will be convening as a meeting. So they both need to be posted.
And I'll do the agenda and send it out to both planning and zoning and to us for approval. The other piece of it is the recommended edits are in Google Docs, and if you haven't, please go in and make your recommended thumbs up, thumbs down, any comments you have, and planning and zoning will try to do the same. That will speed up the amount of time we have to spend, because like I said, if you've looked at it, a number of the recommendations are simply language changes.
Do we need to vote for the 13th?
No, we can just set it.
Okay.
Dan, do you want me to, I have a few notes of the rest of the meeting. We didn't get it on as just a P&Z update, but there were a couple other things.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so one of the things was the wayfinding that the county has brought up to the Economic Development Council, and Planning and Zoning would like somebody on that committee when they start talking about bluff signs. Amanda Podmore volunteered to be that person, and I don't know exactly how you tie that in or get her notified when meetings are, when those things are being discussed, but those are the wayfinding signs to the public spaces off the highway. Then we need to advertise for open positions that are coming up in November. Melissa Eggy, Amanda Podmore, and Sarah Burak are all coming due in November. Sarah will be taking a leave at that time, starting about the 1st, and Amanda will be chairing for her for maternity leave. And then let's see. They also had a question of whether or not we were making enough changes on the dark sky ordinance. I like to call the bright stars, dark sky, bright stars, to need another public hearing.
No idea. We won't know until we discuss it.
Okay, but that was all the update I had. They did kind of wonder about the attorney joining us, but I don't know if we need them for our going line by line through and getting joint effort done, but at some point.
Mayor,
Well, go ahead, Brant.
I like the idea of Amanda doing the wayfinding committee. Just my personal opinion.
Well, Linda and I attended the first session. There's only going to be one other session, but I had recommended to planning and zoning after we went to the first wayfinding that we needed somebody from P&Z to be on it. So I'm glad to know that Amanda's interested. And when Linda and I get notice of that, then we'll reach out to Amanda, whoever's going to be on it. And the three of us, it's not like a closed group at all. There's people kind of jumping in and out from different organizations. So it'll work just fine.
Okay.
What time
yeah, that
is,
was,
excuse me, what time is the joint meeting?
6 p.m.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lou, for reminding me about the wayfinding. I talked with Aaron about when we need to run an ad saying that planning and zoning will have 3 open seats. But I've been waiting to touch base with each of the 3 to see if they had a sense as to what they wanted to do. Generally, people who are already holding those seats would just need to do a letter of intent and not do a formal application. If at least one is not interested, we'll definitely be running an ad with a request for longer resumes or letters.
right. She was pretty firm that she's is going to take a break after this term that she did, and then may come back to it at a later time. But right now she'll be taking a break back. So we'll have at least 1 open and possibly 2 or 3.
Can't thank those guys enough for their service. It's just an amazing group. And I understand if you got to step down for a while.
Okay, then we need to do a work session, particularly on those issues related to property lines and alleys and whatever. And we're not meeting on the 5th. I haven't canceled that officially in Utah Public Notice, but I'll do that sometime in the next few days. So what would you like to do in terms of a work session kind of sandwiched into the month of July.
How about the 13th in the afternoon at 2 o'clock? Or 1 o'clock or 10 o'clock. I don't care.
Well, that would work for me. What about other people?
Sure.
As
What
far-
is the agenda? What is the agenda for this, or the tentative agenda for it?
I think I sent out an email that listed the 6 or 7 different property issues that we
Oh,
have.
right. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
That would be the bulk of it. I think there was 1 or 2 other issues I wanted to touch on, but right offhand, they've escaped me. But that's the primary one. We need to address a couple of.
10 o'clock in the morning. We're pretty productive for an hour and a half or so, usually when we meet at 10, or we can be.
Does that work for everybody? 10 o'clock on the 13th? So just to put this in perspective, the 12th would be our regular meeting. That's a Tuesday. Okay, we're not meeting on the 5th of July. We'd meet the 12th, which is a Tuesday at our usual time. We'd meet the 13th, which is a Wednesday at 10, and then at 6 again with planning and zoning. Then our next meeting would be the 19th, the last one of that month. Would that all work for
Do
everybody?
you want to push it to that next week? Is that what you're kind of thinking, just to spread them out a little bit, or do you want to get it done?
It really doesn't matter to me, Lou. I think whatever the 4 of you want to do is fine.
I'm pretty sure either one will work for me, but I must say I cannot access my calendar with this phone situation, so I'm sorry.
Let's shoot for the 13th, both those meetings. And then if something comes up, we'll look at it.
Sure, we could do that on the 12th. There's nothing that's set in stone that we can't change. Okay, that sounds good. Then financial report. Linda?
So Brant did the bank reconciliation with Polaris. I sent out the May financial report, which I try to do. Well, I do it as soon as I'm finished with the bank reconciliation. I have to have that piece done first. Our accountant has gotten a hold of me, and because June 30th is coming up, which is the end of the fiscal year, he is encouraging us to get all checks out, all deposits made. The reports I usually do after the end of the quarter. He wants them done before. So it's kind of makes it a little tidier. You know, we're basically getting as much done as possible in the fiscal year we're in now. So I will be working on it. And I sent everyone the list of goals that we had. So are there any questions? And we need a vote to approve paying them.
Paying those as presented, Mayor.
Second.
Any discussion or questions?
Yeah, Linda, is there anything, I assume that the UDB payment is still outstanding, or they owe or something?
It is, and I thought that I would try either tomorrow or the next day to talk to Heather again and let her know that if possible, we really need it before June 30th. Well, we need to deposit it before June 30th.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Okay, that's great. I was just going to volunteer my time, but it sounds like you have I think Heather and you are working together pretty well so far, except for no money.
Makes it easier, actually.
Everything else is wonderful. Okay.
Luann?
I just have, I have one question on the CCC old school. So are those our share? Like the power seem like it would be plenty to have as the main bill and then we'll share it? Or is that half?
So I have it broken up so that the top part is all community center, town stuff. And so we will be sharing things that are under the school project list.
Okay.
And we share them proportionally.
Okay, so like that, I don't have it right here, but it was 228, I believe. So that power bill would be shared.
Right.
That's the total. Okay. And then there was one other one actually up at Rocky Mountain Power. I think there was a blank on your list.
Oh, okay. I'll fix that.
And do you know how much, like, what would it be?
What is it for the community center or the school?
For the community center, just, you had a line up there that didn't have an amount in it. And I just,
Okay. It was 400 and something, like 417.
okay. So I just want to make sure you can add that in on our approval and not have a delay on getting that one paid. So if it's 417, we just all need to be aware of that.
Thanks.
Anything else? Grant, did you make a motion?
He did, and I seconded it. It's ready to call the question.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Anyone opposed? It's unanimous. Moving to other, which is number 10. Does anyone have another other?
I have another, Mayor, briefly.
Grant?
I hope everyone listening to this broadcast is watching the national news for the January 6th committee that have uncovered that Donald J. Trump was a liar, and it's becoming publicly more widespread known and accepted. And I just want to reiterate that the truth always remains. You can't lie your way out of anything. He's a reprehensible human being, and I denounce anything he stands for.
I have one. Thank you, Brant.
I have another also when you're done.
Jim, go ahead.
We need to stay updated on how these ditches are going to get cleared. We may get hit with some monsoon action here, anytime after tomorrow, I guess. And we need to be aware that if it really hits hard, what I saw in the ditch by the school is that it's got a lot of brush in it.
So one of the things, thanks for reminding me, that's on one of the lists for the work session, but it might not be a good idea to defer that. One of the things that I suggested to Brand is that somebody do a ride along and look at those ditches and look at the ones that are clogged now, so we can perhaps get Steve Helgerson working on some of those. And Brant, would you do a favor for me and look at that culvert that runs under 191 over by Cadillac Ranch? UDOT said they were going to clean that out. And I know when I get back tomorrow, I'm not going to remember it. So if you could make a note to just look at that culvert. Thank you. And yeah, I agree with you, Jim. This is a sooner rather than later. So maybe we can get a survey going informally and, get this, get this ordered. Brant?
I talked to Steve Helgerson yesterday about the culvert ditch survey. He's already kind of riding around making notes, and we all looked at that little section. I haven't looked at the culvert. We looked at from 7th on my corner all the way to the highway. But yeah, we'll talk about it when you get back, and I'll remind. Again, I think we're on this a little bit this year, a little ahead of last year, so I think it's good.
Good deal. Thank you.
And did he get the boxes out, Brent?
There were no boxes in there, Lou. When we went down, somebody had.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so everything that looked good There are trees, there's some growth, there's some maintenance needed, but there's no large obstructions.
Oh, good. That's good.
Then I have one other. So I want to thank Wesley Shook for bringing to our attention again the need to do something about speed limits and speed signs. I responded to Mr. Shook in an email saying, that we do take the speed in Bluff and through Bluff seriously. We have not yet paid for those signs that flash that are going in on the each end of town. Those have arrived at UDOT, but they still don't have a power source and they haven't been able to commit to solar or power, but hopefully they'll get them in pretty quickly, but we have not paid for those. So it's not money that we've actually laid out. As everyone's aware, we were not successful in our speed study 2 years ago. We'll give it another shot at the end of the summer, beginning of fall. We have asked for delineators along the pedestrian walkway and biking paths by the wash. Those are just to name a few of the things that we have done to try to help slow the traffic down. We asked for increased speed enforcement from the highway patrol and got a little bit of a pushback from a few people about that, but we did have that. So Mr. Shook, I appreciate that you're bringing it to our attention again. And if anybody in the community thinks of something else we could be doing, short of putting out roadblocks and speed bumps on our own that we can't do, I'm certainly willing to have it brought before the council to discuss.
Just for the record, I recommend and have always recommended solar power for these signs. They wouldn't have to be looking for a power source if it was solar. And it seems to be working fine in all the solar ones that I see. So there you go. Thank you.
Well, here's the problem with solar. Because of the pandemic, the solar transmitter thingies, whatever those are, have been back ordered and not readily available. But I agree with you. If we could get the solar, that would be nice. But I will reach out to Jared Beard again and give a nudge on a couple of things.
It seems to me the placement of those needs to be studied. And then I've asked for the original ones to stay in place. So it's going to be more of a comprehensive idea to put those in place, I think, than just drop them on the side of the road. Convenient place. So I'd like to see some thought put into where they go.
Well, my guess is that's what they're doing when they're looking for power sources and solar. That's going to depend. If they have to go to power sources, they're really, really limited, according to Jared Beard. But I'll send another email to him and see if I can set up a phone conference with him in the next week or so. Anything else on other?
Motion to adjourn.
6:46 p.m.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Anyone opposed? It's
Thank you.
unanimous. Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thank
good,
you all.
safe day.
Thank you.
Thanks,
And Craig, thanks for coming in. Thanks
Yep.
for doing it. Hey.